Hello everyone, and welcome to the 33rd episode of Tuesdays with Tobe. My name is Tobe Frierson, and I am delighted to be back before you again today with another episode. Last week's episode had some homework, and it was a little tough because we were trying to identify some of the things that might be holding us back from getting our true desires in life, and also some things that might be a threat to our basic necessities in life. If you did this homework, you should have two lists, both of external factors that might be barriers and also internal factors. I talked about looking at ourselves in the mirror and figuring out if we're the ones that need to move and get out of the way. And so today we're gonna actually unpack some of this stuff because there's a lot going on in life. And for what I know, some of the things are 100% in our control, yet we continue to look externally to figure out what's wrong or to figure out what's wrong with a certain person in our lives or a certain thing, when we should really be focusing on our bad habits, maybe some old mindsets, some unresolved issues and hurt, and certainly maybe some unforgiveness that we've been dealing with. So please today, lean in with me. Let's take a few moments to focus in on our list. And I'm actually going to share a few things that I came up with as I tried to figure out what to move and get out of the way. Before we hop into today's talk, we need to look behind me and say our family rules. Ready? Read. During Tuesdays with Tobe, we will use kind words. Do your best. Always be honest. Forgive and forget. Be happy. Count your blessings. Laugh at yourself. Stay positive and love one another. I really hope you did your homework last week. And for those of you who are just seeing this episode and didn't see last episode, stop right now, go back 1 week for me, and let's catch up. You can come back to this one later. But the reason why it was so important for you all to do that homework last week is because it is so vitally important that we identify things in our life that are holding us back. Until we identify them, there's no way we can move them and get them out of the way. And so we need to know things that are hindering our safety and security, things that are hindering our physical and our emotional health, things that are hindering our peace, certainly things that are causing us not to have a sense of belonging. And we need to know what might be keeping us from our purpose. We've got to identify purpose for us to have a long, lasting, satisfactory life. And so those things just have to get out of the way. They have to go. And yes, right now, I am trying to sound the alarm. Now, with something this serious, I hesitate to ask you all to use the comment section below to drop your comments. I hesitate to do that. But as you look at your list of things that you need to move and get out of the way, some items on your list might be shareable, or they might be for public consumption, if you will. That's up to you. But I do feel comfortable sharing with you all a few things that are on my list, particularly those things that are not so external, the things that don't involve other people. I can share with you a few things that I saw when I looked in the mirror, and I want to do that for you right now. So as an example of the homework that I hope that we did last week, I'm going to share with you just a couple of my internal barriers. And I think it's always important, you all, to start with yourself first. Because honestly, we need to condition ourselves and we need to learn how to be the first to raise our hands when we've missed a mark or when we've gotten something wrong or when we've offended, and we can kind of tell, whoa, the room just shifted and I was the last one who spoke. Those are things that would really make life a little bit easier if we could kind of start to condition ourselves to do so. So I want to go first and share a few things that I discovered after I looked in the mirror that I really need to move and get out of the way. And number one is procrastination. Y'all, I have this phenomenal opportunity right now, and it's been sitting with me for months. And when I tell you for months, I'm actually embarrassed to tell you how long I've had this ask. But someone literally asked me to be a part of a writing project with them. It's a portion of the book that they've written, and they've given it to me, and they wanted me to write a portion of their book. And I accepted this, but upon accepting it, I never really put this on my calendar to have a due date, and they also didn't give me a due date either. What I have learned about myself, and I kind of sort of already knew about myself, I have to have definitive dates and deadlines. I have to be structured, or things will get left undone because sometimes there's a lot going on. And so I've procrastinated on this writing that I need to do, and that has been a barrier because this book is not complete because Tobe hasn't done her part yet. This person actually sent me a message a few weeks ago, gave me a little nudge, and I wrote back and said, oh, things are super busy and I'm going to get to it. But guess what? That writing time that I need to accomplish this goal, that is still not yet on my calendar. After this episode, after doing my homework last week, guess what? It's going to be on my calendar. And so that's one thing that I've been doing. I have been procrastinating, and I've got to get that out of the way. The second thing, because I told you I was going to share a couple of mine that were internal. My lack of therapy right now in this moment, that is a barrier for me. I 100% need to be in therapy, and here's why. You might be like, oh my gosh, Toby, you had another accident? I did not have another accident. That's not why I need therapy. But after my therapy ended from my accident, I told myself, hey, make sure you go get another counselor, because last summer was tough with this pandemic. Toby, you experienced a lot of isolation. You're not very good in isolation. And then while you're in isolation, there was a whole lot of racial strife that came up, a lot of conflict, things that you had not seen before in your lifetime, things that you have not dealt with and acknowledged. And while those concepts were not new, not at all, those of us who are people of color are used to those types of things. Seeing George Floyd and then everything that ensued after that, that part was new. And I would be super arrogant to think that I can process and get through that on my own. And I know I can't. And that's something I've been doing ever since it happened last summer. I've been doing that on my own. And so now it's time to take out that list, because I actually have a list of very reputable therapists and counselors in the area. I need to take out that list and I need to make an appointment. So as you look at your list and honestly compare the external barriers to your internal barriers, where are you going to start your work? It could be that some of your external barriers are job related or related to your family. And I'll be honest with you, most of us can't quit our jobs tomorrow, and we certainly can't quit our families, right? So I'm bringing that up because it's so easy for us to look externally. But what I found with this work is that's the hardest work to do. It's so hard for me to go work on somebody else's heart when I could actually write the book and get on somebody's couch and have the therapy, when I could do this stuff for myself. And so that's really why you always hear me talking about looking inward and digging deep and doing a lot of work on yourself. Like literally, I really want you guys to really, really digest this today and look inward on that. So what do you all think is going to be a first step for you? What is it going to take for you to say, okay, I got to move this and I'm going to get it out of the way? What does that look like for you in this moment? Oh, when you saw that I was going to talk about some things that we need to move, get out of the way, some of you all were looking for confirmation to end the relationship, to leave the job, to drop the kids off at grandma's house indefinitely, and so on. However, y'all should have known by now, when it comes to me, it was 100% a high likelihood that I was going to point us right back to ourselves. I actually hope your internal barrier list was longer than your external barrier list, because I am convinced that we can control things internally far easier than we can just walk off of our jobs, or we can just give our kids away, or we can actually just disconnect and leave our families. Like, those things are incredibly difficult and just not likely to happen. I promise you, if you figure out what habits you need to move out of the way, what mindsets you need to move out of the way, what unresolved issues you need to move out of the way, and if there is any unforgiveness in your heart that you need to move out of the way, that you're gonna have a good shot at doing this work and really releasing yourself from some things that have been holding you back. As you are comfortable, I want you all to use the comment section below. This can be a therapy session for all of us. I shared my little 2 things with you all that I thought would be appropriate to share in this space. Some of you are gonna have things as well that are cool to share here, and please do, because we might help each other. So put something out there that's on your internal list. Please don't put any external stuff on there, anybody's name or anything like that. But y'all, it's time for us to move and get out of the way. I hope you like, share, and subscribe. And I am rooting for all of us. I'll see you back here next time.